Spring 2023 is long gone, but it had quite a few quality shows that we would like to discuss before the year is over. There were a bunch of other shows like Insomniacs that we couldn't get to watch. Others like Cheatskill were so bad we couldn't watch more than 3 episodes. So without further ado, let's bring it back.
Mashle was a fun show, with typical shonen characters that go through enough development to accept their call to action while maintaining lively personalities and unique character designs. Lance, Dot, Abel, and Abyss all became better people with the power of cream puffs. Other characters, such as Finn, Lemon, and the rest of Magia Lupus, were much more generic one-note characters, but this did not bring down my enjoyment. I cannot wait for the newly introduced characters, such as Rain, Cell War, and the final boss, who is based on a certain he who shall not be named.
Mashle was definitely a nice surprise. I had no expectations going in since this is a brand new IP for me. I've heard that people have called it a mix of One Punch Man and Harry Potter, or Black Clover if we're sticking with anime.
You are hero?
Oh yeah.
I love the ways Mashle would overpower magic users. This all led to great visual gags like him kicking the air to fly on a broom. Both Saitama and Mashle end up one-upping everyone at the end, but it just felt very played out towards the end with Mashle. I know to expect Mashle to outmuscle everyone and everything, but I hope the show gives it a more refreshing new twist in the future to keep things from going stale.
I respect the show's audacity to stick to their creative choices, despite the obvious corner cutting, such as the eyesore CGI, constant use of their 2 songs, and cost-cutting pixel art animation. Despite, or maybe because of these factors, the show exploded in popularity. The show also seems to be playing a very expensive prank on the biggest VAs in the industry, where the VAs are forced to say some of the most outrageous lines I have ever heard of so far. Everyone seemed to have fun in this over-the-top production that I found myself staying until the very end of the tumultuous roller coaster ride. And I hate roller coasters.
I 100% agree, even though it kinda mellowed out at the end. I was shocked to find an actual plot in the show. They definitely knew their limitations when it came to CGI, so they focused on what they knew, the comedy. And I thoroughly enjoyed the whole show.
Season 2 of Vinland Saga was wildly different from its previous season, and not all of the changes worked for me, such as the slower pace, the constant focus on Thorfinn's internal struggles, and the lack of a standout antagonist in the first half.
I love Season 1, and understand that Thorfinn's growth as a pacifist in Season 2 won't leave much room for bloodshed, but the first few episodes moved at a snail's pace. Still, Season 2 was a strong A-tier show. One thing I really loved was ending this season with the visit to the runaway slave's grave. Thorfinn now has a deep understanding of the struggles of life and how everyone deserves to live free from war and slavery. He now understands what made his father a great man.
Knut's presence and Arnheid's story were the biggest highlights for me. Both story elements helped add external drama, while Thorfinn learned to embrace pacifism. This season leaves me anticipating Knut's further descent into guilt-driven insanity, and cynically waiting for Thorfinn to realize peace is difficult to attain.
Shinda had a fun premise and a great opening song. Unfortunately, this is a mid-show. It started off strong, but as the story progressed, I lost most of my interest. The comedy was decent, but it got stale quickly as almost all its jokes were of the haha woman naked variety. The anime takes place in a typical fantasy world, with monsters, knights, magic, and the undead. It disappointingly did not add anything else to expand on the genre or world building. I mean, it did focus more on necromancy and had an undead hero, but this wasn't much.
The beautiful animation and elevation of cinematic effects bring the fights to new heights with 2 new villains with very forgettable backstories. I was still surprised by how exquisite everything looked for the 2 Hashiras' backstories, including the gross maggots feasting on Yuichiro's corpse. Interjecting the fights with monologues may bore some people, but I cannot fathom where else the character development is supposed to come through. Therefore, I am very excited for the more slice-of-life vibe the next training arc should bring, especially if it includes many interactions between the large cast.
I agree with you when it comes to the visuals and action sequences. Where the show failed to keep me more engaged was the pacing. Not only was most of the season taking place over one night, but during multiple episodes, characters were repeating themselves over and over, which was hard to ignore.
早く禰豆子と玄也のところへ早く禰豆子と玄也のところに戻りたいのに禰豆子耐えてくれ早く戻りたいのに二人のいる建物はすぐそこなのに禰豆子玄也死ぬなすぐ行くから禰豆子たちのいる建物はすぐそこだあそこまで行く一息で一刻も早く禰豆子と玄也を助けるために
As opposed to you, I am actually dreading the next arc, and I hope that they speed through it.
I was cautiously optimistic for this adaptation when I heard there were a few headlines regarding MAPPA's production issues. I didn't notice any glaring problems with the animation, however, nothing wowed me either except the fight in the final episode, so I mainly focused on enjoying the plot as each character died. I will continue rooting for the brothers and hoping MAPPA can condense some of Sagiri and Gabimaru's internal monologues. I was not rooting for the leads to get together, since they had zero chemistry and common interests. Akane started strong as a memorable main character in the middle of a disaster streak. After getting dumped by her boyfriend, she continued to wallow in an RPG game and got irresponsibly drunk twice. I was intrigued by how much of a hot mess she was. Now that they got together though, what kind of struggles can they face? Because if all they're going to do is bring up the age gap and how she should play the responsible role in the relationship, the next season might get stale fast. Now that best girl, Tsubaki, was defeated, I don't care much for the other side characters because they've already shown their personalities and there's not much development to look forward to. If the rando creep intruding on Akane in the bathroom from episode 5 was any indication of more forced tension to develop the relationship, then I don't think I can put up with more.
This show was amazing. Even though this was a slice-of-life rom-com, there were drama elements that made it way more engaging than other shows of this genre. All characters, not just the main protagonist, were fully fleshed out with their own flaws and goals, such as Mitsumi's friend group, which usually consists of uninteresting characters in other rom-coms or slice-of-life shows. The highlight was obviously Shima. His enigmatic past and behavior hook you in, and at the end of the season, you are left satisfied with his growth. Mitsumi also stands out. She has ambitions and is focused on her schoolwork, but she has a surprisingly high EQ. Thus, she is constantly aware of how people feel and always tries her best to motivate those around her. Mitsumi's maturity and empathy brought out the best in Shima, and the future romance between them feels much more organic than what you typically see in other rom-coms.
I had a lot of mixed emotions about this show. The first 6 episodes had me hooked. The long isekai title, the mysterious premise, and the typical otome isekai male characters. I was so hooked, I read the webcomic in one day because I could not wait for the next episode to come out. And then therein lies the issue. Many corners were cut in the animation, especially in the finale, which became laughably noticeable. The webcomic was set from the quick and funny dialogue to the bombshells revealed that finally answered the pressing questions. The anime barely covered the meat of the story in one short core, so the plot felt stagnant with none of the characters moving at all. I hope there is a season 2, so I can see more of the main couple's adorable flirting. However, I may not stick around if the animation remains lackluster.
This is everything that I hope to get from a rom-com, actual comedy and a cute romance. Most anime rely on getting laughs from cheap, ecchi situations, but Dangers in My Heart actually delivers with smart and charming comedy derived from awkward situations one might encounter growing up. Ichikawa is a great main character, but I'll focus a bit more on Yamada for this section. She is a bit different from what I've come to expect in rom-coms. She is not a one-dimensional popular girl out of the main character's league. She is as much of a bumbling, awkward mess as Ichikawa. It's very satisfying to see both her and Ichikawa get closer and realize their feelings for each other. It feels very organic since there's just so much chemistry between them. I am eagerly anticipating season 2.
This show was my first introduction to the long-standing Gundam franchise, and it started with a few mysteries and intriguing characters, such as the girl and the mom in the prologue, and Elan 4 from the first core. I still hear them singing that eerie birthday song.
Happy birthday to you.
However, the smooth sailing came to an abrupt halt as the number of characters, corporations, and group names doubled. Besides Ariel, I was having difficulty telling mechs apart with the fights happening at a fast pace, but maybe that was intentional since Ariel was the strongest Gundam unit. I stuck around to witness how much Guel can suffer, Prospero's ulterior motives, and to watch a tragic ending, as I've heard that is customary in the Gundam series. Unfortunately, I was sorely disappointed at the end of the series. The last 2 episodes felt rushed, and it all wrapped up with a disappointing, or cliché, happy ending.
From the beginning, I love how this show did not spoon-feed everything about this post-apocalyptic world, filled with monsters, high-tech, and superhumans. Each week, I would keep speculating about what would happen next, as opposed to other anime this season, where everything was easy to digest. Heavenly Delusion not only excelled with its world building and action, it also took bold creative decisions with its animation, and had a banger OP, which I think was better than Idol. Fair warning though, the show depicts SA, which some people might not feel comfortable watching. It was hard for me to watch, and I've heard that this traumatic experience is pretty much swept aside in the manga. I want this show to continue to deliver great storytelling and to properly treat the seriousness of what happened at the end of season 1.
The production values were through the roof and somehow still managed to exceed the insane expectations the internet built up. The 90-minute cinematic premiere, the opening song, which is safely assumed to be Song of the Year, and the amusing memes the ending song spawned overnight with the iconic swelling violin. All of this kept me engaged. I was hooked for the murder mystery, heartbroken over Ai's death, and angry at the circumstances that led to Akane's attempt on her own life. With so many swirling emotions, I jumped into the manga and the second half of the season. However, the show did not manage to maintain its momentum. Thank you for watching. Please let us know if there were any hidden gems we missed. We also made a first impressions review of the summer 2023 lineup. We plan on making in-depth analysis of other interesting shows, so please be on the lookout for them.